friends, and welcome to another video, extremely late video from my series Quick Thoughts On, in which I always talk about different stories from the rich Star Trek universe. 30 years and way too many weeks ago, the next episode of Star Trek The Next Generation premiered. It was called The Most Toys, and these are my honest opinions about it. What is there to say about The Most Toys? This is not really a plot-driven episode. It could be described much better as a psychological study. This is one of the episodes which are not afraid to ask the viewer very tough questions, and at the same time not give you a clear yes or no answer to them. Is killing somebody always a bad thing? Can you have a logical reason to kill somebody? Can a computer brain decide that killing somebody can be justified if it's the only possible way how to stop more violence? These are very difficult questions, and I must admit that I have no clue what the correct answers are. My moral values tell me that intentional killings are always wrong, but what would I do in Data's situation? I'm not going to talk about any pseudo-scientific details in this video. They are not really important. The only thing you need to know is that the Enterprise is trying to clean the water on some planet. The only way how to decontaminate the water is a magical MacGuffin, and the only person who is selling it is a trader called Kivas Fajo. Of course, the MacGuffin is highly unstable and could blow up in any moment, which means they are afraid to simply beam it over and instead send Data to bring it to the Enterprise using a shuttle. When he's preparing for his last flight, he reports to the Enterprise and wants to leave, when a female servant gives him a pad on which he should sign the transaction. But of course, the pad short-circuits him and the woman scans quickly to find out what exactly is he made of. But the Enterprise knows nothing about it. All they see is that their shuttle left Kivas Fajo's ship, and then they see it explode. So yes, our heroes see Data die. Hey, guess what is Captain Picard's reaction? He's slightly annoyed because he needs to find a replacement for him. Maybe the people who wrote for Star Trek Picard should actually watch Picard's reactions when he thought that Data has died on screen. Kivas Fajo pretends to cooperate with investigating the accident, but they don't really have a time for doing a proper investigation. They have to deliver the MacGuffin to the planet with the contaminated water, so they very soon leave. And we, as the audience, unfortunately know that Data is still alive. He wakes up in a closed room on Fajo's ship, not remembering what happened. To be honest, I would prefer if the episode would keep the fact that he's still alive a secret for a bit longer. I would prefer if this episode was about the investigation itself, or at least if the scenes were edited differently, because the current version of the episode, in my humble opinion, doesn't generate the correct emotional reaction, because we know that he didn't explode into a million pieces. Anyway, the woman comes to inform Data that he is now the property of Kivas Fajo, and he himself comes to COMES too. Kivas is a collector. He has many very unique items in his collection, and because he wanted a sentient android, he came up with this overly complicated plan how to get him. Data doesn't open the door, he's too weak for that, and he can't touch Kivas because of a little personal force field surrounding him, so he has no other chance than simply cooperate. At least that's what Fajo thinks. But Data is still a Starfleet officer, and a sentient creature. He doesn't want to be a collector's item, so he decides to go to Mahatma Gandhi, way of passive resistance. He will not cooperate under any circumstance. Kivas Fajo wants to force him, as a first step, to change from his uniform into his special dress he prepared for him and to sit on a chair, but Data has no plan to do any of that. So when Kivas arrives to the cell next time, he decides to throw acid on Data's uniform. The acid itself will eat through his uniform but not harm his quote-unquote skin, and because of Data's modesty protocols, he thinks he will change his clothes this way. And yes, he actually is successful. When he arrives for the third time, Data has indeed changed the outfit, but he still doesn't want to sit. He even manages to embarrass his new master. Kivas arrives with an important friend and wants to show him his new toy, but Data doesn't react in any way and pretends to be just a mannequin, which makes Kivas truly mad. When he returns next time, and Data still is not sitting in his bloody chair, Kivas pulls out a new sci-fi gun and threatens to kill him. When Data has a logical remark that he can't shoot him because he wants to own him, Kivas calls the female servant we have seen before. When the woman arrives, he pulls the gun to her head and says he wants to kill her, which Data interferes with by sitting down on the chair. Did Kivas win the fight? I don't honestly know. Of course, Data is the hero, so he couldn't let an innocent woman die because of him, but at the same time, in the moment he bent the knee, he already lost. And I believe you should never bend the knee. It doesn't matter if the enemy is a violent mob or a lunatic with a gun, but it's so easy for me to say something like that when I'm sitting in the comfort of my home. What would I do if I was in Data's situation? I honestly don't know. If he wanted to shoot me, I would probably let him, especially during my teenage years when I had very self-ending thoughts, but would I do that? Would I do what he wants if he threatened an innocent person? To be honest, I probably would. Morals and principles are a very important thing, but saving an innocent person's life should always be on the top. See, now I start to argue with myself. And that's actually a good thing. I love when stories provoke me to think about tough topics. These are the stories which matter. I really miss the times when Star Trek episodes were about something and not just pew pew pew. I guess we should talk about also what's going on the Enterprise, right? Well, nothing really important really. Geordi and Wesley seem to be the only two people who have a problem with Data's death. Yes, even Picard doesn't give a damn, which is a different contradiction of his character in Star Trek Picard. God, I hate that stupid show. Anyway, Geordi and Wesley start their own mini investigation, but it goes nowhere, because the only explanation was a pilot's error. But Data couldn't do an error, right? When they finally arrive on the planet, they shoot the MacGuffin to the planet and nothing goes as expected. When they go down to check the water, it looks like the water was not contaminated at all. Oopsie daisy. So only now they try to space Google Kivas Fajo and find out that he's a criminal who collects unique objects, and only now it hits them that Data might actually be still alive. They're not very bright today, are they? Anyway, this is all of the important stuff which happens in this storyline, unless you want to count the fact that Worf has now Data's position, but this storyline goes really nowhere. So the Enterprise returned back and started to actively search for Fajo's ship. Meanwhile, Data found a weird ally. The woman who Kivas Fajo threatened to shoot now decided to switch sides and wants to help Data to escape. She gets him to the hangar, and when Data starts to launch the shuttle, The alarm goes off, and two men try to stop them from leaving. Kivas Fajo arrives there too, and shocked by the betrayal, he shoots the woman, and Data can only watch how she slowly and painfully disintegrates. He takes the gun and decides to kill Fajo, but in the moment he fires, he gets beamed onto the Enterprise. Miles O'Brien, of course, notices that the weapon has been fired and manages to dismantle it before it materializes, and when they ask Data about it, he claims that it's an accident. Wow, Data is a creepy bastard. I don't know what exactly it is, but there is something in him which really terrified me as a kid, and even now I feel weird. During this scene, of course. I mean, why couldn't he say the truth? That he has made what he considered to be a logical decision, and that he thought the only way how to stop him from killing somebody else was shooting him? But no, now he can also lie. Isn't the thought of an android who you also consider to be your friend, that someone like that can suddenly decide that killing a person is okay, and then also lie about it? The ending of this episode is a drastic change of Data's character, and I really don't think they will address it in the future, will they? This episode is one of the few episodes which stuck in my mind for, well, decades. It questions my morals and my principles, and that is something what good art always should do. I still question myself if Worf had the right to let the injured Romulan die, or if he had the right to kill the man who has killed his wife, the mother of his son. Stories about things which matter. I love it, but it's not perfect. As I said in the beginning, it's a mystery without any mystery. The scenes on the Enterprise are just pointless filler. The female servant of Fajo is one of the main characters, and I don't even remember her name. That's how little development she got. But still, as I said, this is one of these stories which will stay in your mind for probably decades. At least it did with mine. On my standard scale from 0 to 10, where 0 is complete garbage, 10 is a masterpiece, and 5 is just average, I would give this episode 8 out of 10. Definitely one of the best episodes of this season, and highly recommend it. But as always, these were just my opinions. Let me know what did you think about this episode. Did you love it, hate it, or did you think it was just average? Let me know down in the comment section, and see you very soon, hopefully tomorrow. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.